What is going on, my friends? So today we're talking about update 5.2, update 5.3, and the fate of the death mark. You know, in the wake of update 5.2, the death mark was different. Let's call it that way. I made a video stating that the death mark is not probably bugged, but it is reworked. Reason for that is simple. In update 5.2, suddenly the death mark stopped working against characters that save you. Don't resurrect you, but save you, such as MK level Sub-Zero, such as Strike for Scorpion. However, the death mark would work perfectly fine against characters that resurrect you, such as Quan Chi, against gears that resurrect you, such as, for instance, Jax's Last Puff. So I said that probably death mark technique isn't nerfed, but it is reworked. And now we know that death mark technique is was actually bugged and it is fixed. But is this really the case? Today, I'll be sharing with you some secrets so that you know what actually happened around the death mark technique, and this will serve as a very good example of how the Realm Warrior program is useful for you guys and what we are doing to actually help the community and make the game generally better. Now, I will start with why I actually thought that the death mark technique is reworked and not bugged, not only based on the resurrection and the saving part, but based on experience. For instance, Revenant, my favorite talent. Revenant, a couple of years ago, was actually better because the percent chance to survive wasn't evaluated only against the last hit that actually kills you, but it was evaluated on every hit that was potentially lethal. What I mean by that, if you're 1% on 1 HP, let's say, and the enemy classic Raiden tags in and he does special 2 on you, since you're 1 HP, every single one of the mini hits of the special 2 actually kills you. So the Revenant chance will be evaluated on every single one of those mini hits. So you can imagine if classic Raiden special 2 has, let's say, 10 mini hits, so every single one of those mini hits had 30% chance to trigger Revenant. So in a way, you know that the Revenant is going to trigger 99.5% of the cases. So in a way, you can control Revenant. It's not exactly luck based. So you know if the enemy that is tagging has a special attack ready with tons of mini hits and you are very low HP, you most certainly know that you are going to get Revenant in the end. However, now this is not the case because Revenant only triggers on the last mini hit, so it is 100% luck based, which is unfortunate. This thing happened and Revenant was working with the multiple mini hits triggering for years, and then suddenly it stopped working like this. Then we got Teamwork. Teamwork, guys, for those of you who don't know, was the most busted talent in the game. Everybody was running Teamwork because it was giving you tons of power. Literally, you do special 2, and then the characters that attacked out are getting close to 1 full bar of power. It was that crazy. And it was working like this for years, but apparently at some point the team realized that the Teamwork was actually way too OP, and it was bugged. It was giving way too much power than it was supposed to give, and they fixed it. So I decided the same thing has happened to the death mark technique. I assumed automatically that was the same thing that happened to the death mark technique. It was designed originally to only prevent resurrections, but then they just realized that it was also preventing all other forms of escaping death and stuff like this. So I said, no, death mark technique should only prevent resurrections, and that's it. And they fixed it. And this is when we actually stepped up, the Realm Warriors. We asked, is this really the case? Was the death mark actually intentionally redesigned so that it can only stop resurrections and leave the other forms of escaping death intact, or it was just bugged and they're going to fix it? And we were told that the death mark was intentionally redesigned to be the original self. So in a way, I was right. Death mark wasn't just randomly bugged, it was redesigned to only stop resurrection. And then we had a conversation and we were basically giving our opinion that's not cool because the death mark technique has been in the game for years and it has always worked like this, and redesigning it to only stop resurrections will affect the game in multiple ways. It will make the whole life of beginners super difficult. For instance, how do you deal with character that not resurrects but escapes and you have very low fusion goats? How do you kill that boss? You can't. Alright guys, important remark, this is me from the future. Of course, I'm talking about cases where beginners are facing characters such as Grandmaster Sub-Zero that don't resurrect but are getting saved, and the death mark wouldn't work in that case, which is unfortunate. And what happens if you have low fusion goats and you don't have friendship or brutality sets? You simply cannot kill the boss, and that was super infuriating for many in update 5.2. So one thing led to another. We gave a couple of solutions, and then happily, hopefully for us, now we have that mark technique that is working the way it used to work before. So this is what we are doing in the background, the Realm Warriors. We are trying to make sure that things like this, when they happen, they're going to get fixed the way they should be fixed. In my opinion, it's not cool. Even if you agree that mark technique is supposed to be working like this, if you discover this 5 years after you create the talent, the best way to fix the situation is just to rename the title and say Forms of Resurrections and, for instance, saving and stuff like this. If you decide to rework it the way it was designed to be working, then you should provide some kind of a compensation in the form of other gear or other talent that can stop savings on or something like this. For instance, they can give new gear in the faction wars or anything. But the easiest way out of the situation, guys, was to reinstate the original death mark, and I'm happy that this thing happens. Now, I'm telling you all of this so that you know what we're actually doing in the background. You know, Game Time Gaming, Man with No Game 45, and myself. We are basically trying to, when we discover such things, to ask and then give our opinion on whether this is good or whether this is bad and how it can be potentially fixed. Of course, the last word is not ours. I cannot really go and fix the bugs in the game, but what I can do is give feedback. And yeah, basically this is all I wanted to share with you guys. Now you know everything about that mark technique. Now you know how we were useful in actually resolving the drama. And yeah, I hope you found this video useful, and see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Perfect.